Hello, musicians. Uh, my name is Corey Taylor from SkilledMusician.com. So I want to thank you for checking out this video. Now, if you're watching live right now, then thank you for joining us. It really means the world to have you here and engaging, and makes it all the more fun. And if you're watching the replay, well, thank you for watching the replay. I really appreciate that. Now, today's topic is something that I'm really passionate about, which is rhythm. And there is a gospel musician named Glenn Gibson. And by all definitions, as far as I know, he falls under the genius category. And so I've been studying his rhythm. And so I wanted to talk about today the rhythm of the genius, Glenn Gibson. So let's not waste any time. Let's get started. So I have watched just about every Glenn Gibson video that comes on YouTube or Instagram or wherever Glenn Gibson's posted. I've studied his videos, and I'm a big fan of his. He is phenomenal. It's unreal. I've been following him for a while, so I've gotten the chance to see his progression and growth. And man, he is unbelievable. And there's so much about his playing that is phenomenal. But there is one thing that he does, and he consistently does, and that's a rhythmic trick that he does, kind of switching rhythmic modes. I've watched, as I said, I've watched hundreds of videos of him, and not everyone, but in many of them, you will find this particular idea. And so I was trying to find a clip that would kind of illustrate this, and so I found just a little short, few-second clip of Glenn playing, and I thought that would be perfect to illustrate the point. So I'm going to play it for you now. Here it is. Did you catch that? Let's try it again. I'm going to play it one more time. Well, let's listen to it one more time. I'm not sure you all caught it. All right. Well, go ahead in the chat and start. Tell me, what do you think is what do you think he's doing? What is he doing rhythmically that makes what is it? What is that thing? What is he doing? All right. So let's dig deep into this and talk about Glenn's rhythmic structure he does. So I was sitting there and I said, okay, and I've been analyzing his rhythms for a number of years, and so this one presents perfectly because it presents minus maybe one or two other rhythms that he plays often. It presents kind of all of the rhythms that he generally likes to play. So let me show. I went ahead and kind of made some sheet music for it, and just so you know, this let's see, this side, this line right here with the 8 attached to it, it means octave lower. So we have, and I put the names of the notes up there in case you don't read music. You can at least see the names of the notes. So we have all right. And so now be aware that this is a really fast tempo. And so I had two ways of thinking about it. I could think of it, by the bass drum was a boom, ka, boom. So halftime, which would have been around 75 beats per minute. But I took the view of just actual time. So this is the quarter note. So like in a normal song, the quarter notes here would be eighth notes. The eighth notes here would be 16th notes, and so forth and so on. All right. So one thing that Glenn does is he understands inside time first. And when I say inside time or playing within the framework of the time or the rhythmic mode, he understands how to play, if the tempo is something like this, or the beat, he can definitely play inside that. All right, so I'm not talking about that kind of playing, but he does that and he sets that up. And so that becomes kind of the base where he starts, and then he does this thing where he veers off into what feels like it feels like he's out of time. It feels like he's left time altogether, but he hasn't. All right, so he is one that really spends a lot of time in this kind of polyrhythmic world. And that's a world that a lot of musicians don't spend any time in. A lot of musicians are fine playing, quarter notes or eighth notes or triplets or 16 notes. And those are all fine, but those are for a lot of us musicians, those are all the rhythms we play. It's either chord notes or eighth notes or triplets or 60 notes. And we don't really play anything else. But Glenn does this thing, and I want to spend some time and explain what he does. So Glenn likes to play triplets that are extended over more than one beat. So let me show you. So my right hand's going to be, my left hand's going to keep time, and my right hand's going to play the idea. All right, so just follow me. So if I wanted to play triplets, like normal eighth note triplets, it would sound like this. Triplet, 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 triplet. All right, we are comfortable there, right? Let me start back a little further. Start back at the beginning to make sure everyone's on the same page. We have quarter notes, eighth notes, triplets. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Now, what Glenn likes to do is takes the triplet idea, but does it over more than one quarter note. So instead of doing triplet, triplet, he'll take that 3-note idea and spread it out over 2 quarter notes. So here's triplet, triplet, triplet. And so this becomes 3, 1, 2, 3 over 2. So 3 notes in the span of 2 beats. 2 of our fundamental beats, but in this case, it's just a quarter note. So triplet. Right? And so what makes it really interesting is that he starts off with basic rhythms. So let's look at our example here. And just for those who have joined, let's listen to him play it this one more time. Let's listen one more time. Here it is. All right. So the first thing he does, now this tempo is really fast, so I labeled the first line as quarter notes, but normally that would be eighth notes. But because it's so fast, we're treating it as quarter notes because that's the time. So he starts off with quarter notes, which is the top line up here. So this line right here is the quarter note line. And you see everything is a quarter note. Even if you can't read music, you can see all those notes are like a colored in circle with a stem coming off of it. They're all the same, right? Some might have a sharp sign, which looks like a hashtag sign in front of them, but nevertheless, the value is still the same. They're the same notes all the way through. All right, so, right. Now the second line, you see that he starts changing. He doubles up. It starts hitting some of the syncopated beats. This is where he gets into the eighth note world, which normally would be 16th notes if we were at a slower tempo, but because we're so fast, this is eighth note world. So he doubled the time all of a sudden. He went from playing simple quarter note ideas to now we're doubling time. Right? But he doesn't stop there. He goes and plays this 3/2. So if you look at the C sharp, A sharp, F sharp, you see I have 3 notes in the space of 2 quarter notes. So if you look at that whole measure, I have C sharp, A sharp, F sharp, E, C sharp, D sharp. That's 6 notes in the span of 4. So it's like 6/4, or if you reduce that, 3/2. I know some of you are saying, man, I didn't come from math. But that's the idea. And so what this does, it enables, it all of a sudden takes you out of the normal inside rhythm and gets you outside, right? I have a video that I talked about playing inside versus playing outside, the changes. Well, this is the same idea except for it's rhythmic. Instead of playing inside the rhythm, he's playing outside the rhythm, right? So let's see if I can't demonstrate this. So let me turn on my little drum track. And let me turn it down a little bit. Did you hear that? Did you hear the last line? Does not sound like it's related to the previous lines. All right, it doesn't feel like it's in time, but it actually is. Let's try it again. Now, there's one error in the music that I could not correct, so I want to make sure it's there, because if some of you all who are theory geniuses will go back and look at it and say, Corey, this is actually right. The bottom line actually starts on beat 2. But my music software would not allow me to do these types of rhythms that went over the bar in this manner. This is like a complicated rhythm, and my music software would not allow me to do it. So I just started it on beat 1, but actually when he plays it, it starts on beat 2, right? So let me slow this down a little bit, well, a whole bunch, so you can kind of see this. Let's see, let's try this here. So here we go. Let's try it. Ready and I messed it up. The last line. So when I play that last line by itself, you kind of hear the triplet sound. Triple. And the last let is missing right there. That right pat. Anyway, you see it. So sorry. But in context of this strict groove right here, that triplet line doesn't sound so triplet-y. It sounds like weird. Now, what really sets this rhythm idea apart is the fact that he doesn't start on one, he's off the beat. He starts on beat two. And I went through and analyzed a number of his videos, and some of them don't start on the beat. It's the same idea, whether double time or half time, it's the same idea. However, sometimes it doesn't start on beat one. Most of the time, it doesn't start on beat one. It starts on two, three, sometimes the end of two, which makes it even more mind-boggling. And so, like you're saying, Corey, how does this help me? Well, the same way you want to be able to play outside the changes. You want to not play just the same old stuff. You want to be able to get outside the changes and play stuff. Well, this is one way to get out, but it's getting out rhythmically. Okay. Now, you might ask, well, Corey, how can I practice this? And so I want to give you a couple ideas to practice this. All right. So remember what I said. What we're doing is we're spreading out a triplet over 2 beats. Now, just a little side note. Some of you might know, but I grew up playing drums, not like drum set. I mean snare drum, like percussion. I marched in college, snare drum. I was that guy. And so one of the things we like to do is rhythmic exercises. So, like with one foot, we would tap quarter notes, like da, ba. The other foot, eighth notes, ba, da, da. And then triplets, da, 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 da. All right, so you can't see my hands. That's a little fun trick. And then the left hand, 16th notes. So challenge, if you can do that, send me a video of you doing it. And maybe you might win a prize from me. All right. All right, so how do you do this 3/2 idea? Well, it's one secret. Just think halftime. We all know how to do 3/1, which is just triplet, 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 right? So if the tempo's here, ba, ba. If I think halftime, ba, ba, triplet, triplet, even though, so I'm playing 3/2, triplet, triplet, but my mind is thinking, da, ba. So I'm thinking triplet, 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 triple, right? So even though the underlying rhythm is going to the chord note, I'm thinking triplet, triplet. I'm thinking halftime, triplet, 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 triplet. All right. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Yes? No? You let me know. All right. So really, that's the top tip. There are other more difficult ways to try to understand this, but that tip alone is the best tip I can come up with to share with you. Is to think halftime in order to execute this. So you feel halftime. So even though the groove is so let me put the groove back on. So even though it's boom, da, boom, boom, I'm feeling boom, boom. So boom. So the chord note is bop, 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 bop. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But I'm feeling 1, triple it, triple it, triple it, triple it. All right. So that's the best tip. Think halftime. So, so the hard part about this is you got to be in control of your emotions. A lot of times when we start playing, we get hyped up and get going, and it's hard to really be calm here when you're like that. And so you got to be calm while you're playing, and be able to feel that halftime. Um, and it really gets you outside of the music. And so what it does is it opens up your frame, your rhythmic frame. And so the same way when somebody goes outside, it opens up your harmonic frame. Like it's like, oh wait, I didn't know that was possible. Now, okay, wow, this is the same, but rhythmically, it opens up your rhythmic frame. It's kind of like that video of Corey Henry when he plays the tune Lingus, and his solo Lingus with Snarky Puppy, and he opens up with these unbelievably beautiful chords, but they feel out of time. You might ask, where can I use this idea? Well, you might think this sounds like a jazz idea. It's easy to use in jazz. Yes, you can definitely use it in a jazz setting. That's true, for sure. However, where else can you use it? Well, Glenn is a church musician. Glenn plays in church. So he uses it everywhere. In shout music, like everywhere you can. I can't think of a clip now, maybe except for those Nord clips he did with Kevin Powell. But I can't think of a clip where I heard him play where he didn't use this idea outside of those Nord clips. So if you're a church musician, you can do it anywhere. And you got to be careful because it feels like you're out of time to most people, and it'll get weird if you do it forever. That said, we're going to end here. So thank you so much for being a part. And until our next one, be blessed and happy practicing. What's going on, Boston? Can you hear me? Do a quick tech check while you're walking in. Let me know if you can hear me well, or if anything's too loud.